Greetings, I'm Pillar Nexus Ancient Gladiator. Today with more Pillar Loves Tabletop games. And I bring you a Small World. There we go. So the game is to end with the most victory points. You start with 5. They're only kept face down as a secret. We determine a random first player for the round. And then that player first has to claim a race and power combo. There'll be various effects for races and powers. Ratmen, no power, just a lot of them. Fortified lets them build a castle every turn, which raises their defense, and it's worth an extra point. So, what I'll do on my first turn is skip all the way down to mounted orcs, because those are terrifying and useful on this map. There's a very specific map for each number of players for this game. I believe there's an expansion and a whole entirely different game that uses a more modular map, but we'll get to that later. So, what we do is look at the numbers in orange and take that combined from the tray. So that's 10. Which is the absolute maximum for them. And we start our first conquest. To conquer a region, you need tokens plus 2. So the number of tokens in a given region plus 2 is how many it'll take. What we're going to do is cut a bloody swath through the lost tribesmen. So 3 will eliminate that. That'll be an extra point at the end with the orcs for going on a path of war. So when you start out, it has to be from the edge or from a shoreline, and then continue from there. We're mounted orcs, so we're at -1 to conquer a region. So we take it with 2. You always need at least 1 to initiate a conquest move. Planes are -1. And then since it's going to be easy to take it. Okay. Now, we don't quite have enough to take this one, but we can make the attempt. As long as you have at least 1 token, you can take your chance on the final conquest. But the odds are kind of steep. I need to roll a 2 or a 3 on this die to conquer this region. I fail, I have to redeploy to where I'm already at. So, after the conquests are done, and the redeployments are handled as well, we'll get points based on all the areas I've conquered. 5 areas is worth 5 points. In addition, I've got a point for every occupied by another token area for the orcs. So there's another 3. It has to be like actual, like the tribes. Lost tribes are other players. So, all good. It goes to the next player. Now they have the option to take, let's say, the fortified ratmen and take the point because I skipped over them. They'll get a total of 11. Because they are fortified, they'll have access to these castles that during, I want to say, troop redeployment. Yeah. Yeah, just once per turn, place it where you occupy. And these will come up. And then Ratman. Or where did I put him? I put him over here. So we've got 11 to work with. Alright. So if I go and make my way up to the orcs and fight them, what happens is the orcs will lose one of their tokens completely. And then at the end of the conquest and troop redeployment for the Ratmen, they'll get to redeploy their losses. But that took a lot of tokens to do. So we're just going to take the mountain and the forest. And then we're going to add our one castle. So we've got so the orcs will redeploy. Or the Ratmen will score their 4 plus 1 for the fortified. So there's 5 points for them. Okay. And then it'll go back to me, which will be the next round. So here are my options. Option 1 is to continue playing with the orcs, or put them into decline. When you put a race into decline, it's all you get to do for the turn. You'll flip them over. You'll flip over the banner. You'll be down to 1 per region. Then you'll score what you have in decline. So 4 points. That'll go back to that stack. If I didn't want to put them into decline, I could just keep playing with the orcs, but I'm thinking about, future turns. Actually, that's probably a dumb idea. I should have stuck with them. But next turn, I'll have to pick a new race power combo. And then the game will continue on. You'll be able to score points for both your in decline and active race. If you go into decline with your new active race, the old in decline race, if there's still any left, is gone. It's cleared from the board. There are going to be exceptions and stuff like ghouls and spirits and all this other stuff. But in general, you're going to have this cycle of build this new civilization, try to stretch it out as far as you can, and then call it good and go for something new. Depending on the number of players, which determines the map, there'll be anywhere from 10 to 8 turns, I think. 8, 7. There'll be fewer turns as there are more players. Which makes sense. But the player with the most points at the end will win. If there's ever a tie, it goes off of who's got more tokens in play between their decline and active races. There's no tiebreaker after that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen anyway, but it never hurts to be prepared. So it's kind of funny after one turn. Um, uh, Even with all their conquering and then the Ratman kind of getting less, they're they're ahead by a point. But that's why these are kept secret to not spoil that information. Why do I like this game? It's simple. It's quick. There's a lot of replayability. It's a little bit tongue in cheek with some of the stuff, and it's not too hard to explain. If you're ever confused what stuff means, there's the guide, little guide sheet for powers and stuff. Apparently, this game is based off an older design called Vinci, Vinci, and by the same designer too. Apparently, that one was like basically this, but it's Europe. And I'm curious about the conversation with regard to Days of Wonder, looking at the game design and thinking, okay, we like it, but make it more fantasy. But yeah, Small World is a very solid game, and I give it the biggest recommendation. Do check it out because I love it. It's awesome. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Pillar. I'll see you next time.